You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So, Donald Trump yesterday did a big event and a speech in Dayton, Ohio. All right? Yep, we're talking about Ohio. And this speech didn't exactly go super well. For a while, it goes as you'd expect, you know, Donald Trump doing his normal ramblings, but then tech problems start to happen involving the teleprompters getting fucked up by the wind. And it just kind of falls apart and ends up being kind of a hilarious, like, shit show. And I can really think of nothing else whenever I heard this story than, man, Trump has 0 Ohio Rizz. Absolutely no Ohio Rizz. None to be found. The account Aaron Rupar posted like a long thread on Twitter of clips from his speech featuring like the highlight moments. So as much as I hate that we're gonna have to like keep scrolling and clicking out of and into new clips, it is a good way to sort of clip out the unimportant parts of the speech that are not really fun to watch. So the first thing we've got to check out, I guess we'll just read through the thread. Gonna do a video thread on Trump's speech in Dayton, Ohio. Follow along for clips. Please rise for the horribly and unfairly treated January 6th hostages. I probably shouldn't read the quotes that he puts on the clips because I'm gonna play the clips. I should probably just play the clips and we react to what he says in each one. It's probably good. It's probably best idea. Let's do that. I think that'd be good.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the horribly and unfairly treated January 6th hostages.
They are really hung up on this, like, talking point that the convictions for people trying to storm the Capitol to overturn the election, kidnap and or kill elected officials, these are political hostages, the January 6th hostages. This is some Nazi levels of BS. You guys know that one of the biggest Nazi rallies that was ever held was in Madison Square Garden prior to World War II. Big ol' swastika, well, not swastika, but Iron Eagle, the Iron Falcon, whatever they're called, banners and all. Massive, packed fucking stadium. Big Nazi speech, big Nazi convention, Madison Square Garden. One of the biggest Nazi events that ever did happen, ever. Nazism was popular in America before World War II. XRP, I have a website.
To the
Come
flag
to the website.
of the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Was that him talking there, or was that like a overlaid quote from him at the end of the national anthem, like a fucking edit? Here's the next quote.
Well, thank you very much. And you see the spirit from the hostages, and that's what they are, as hostages. They've been treated terribly and very unfairly, and you know that, and everybody knows that. And we're going to be working on that soon as the first day we get into office. We're going to save our country, and we're going to work with the...
I love how every time there's a Trump rally, the entire crowd is white people. Like, pretty much through and through, there's not a lot of non-white people in the crowd, you know? And then what's the funniest part as well is you always get, in almost every single Trump event, you always get one guy or one small group of people that do this. As you can see, this guy is clearly not very welcome as everybody is kind of looking at him. But there's always like one guy or a group of black people holding up signs that say, "Blacks for Trump." I wonder if they're hired actors, because it's literally either a white sign or a white t-shirt with black text that says "Blacks for Trump." What am I supposed to do with this other than be incredulous about its validity? It just doesn't really, it doesn't vibe. It doesn't pass the vibe check.
People to treat those unbelievable patriots, and they were unbelievable patriots and are. You see the spirit just cheering, they're cheering while they're doing that, and they did that in prison, and it's a disgrace in my opinion. So I just want to thank you, and I want to say a very special hello to Dayton, because Dayton turned out to be a big victory for Trump, and that was good for all of us. Well, thank you very much.
And that was good for all of us. Me winning is good for all of you. I do love that Trump is a very good cult leader. Like, the idea of tying his well-being to the well-being of his supporters is a very, like, effective cult leader strategy, and that, like, bad things happening to Trump emotionally and psychologically to his fans feels like a bad thing happening to them. A disrespectful thing happening to Trump feels like they're being disrespected. So, in the same, like, a lot of these people, the way that Trump has sort of made a parasocial bond with them, they defend Trump the same way they would defend themselves. Because they feel that their ego is tied to Trump's ego. Does that make sense?
That's why we want to follow up our historic victory this week. That was a great victory, the biggest and the fastest ever. It's never been one that quick. We moved very quickly. We got very tough in the end, didn't we? We had no choice. We wanted to get a little tough to get it over with.
For the record, by the way, it's really windy, as you can tell from all the wind. And the teleprompters, I guess, are somehow able to blow in the wind. I don't know how that works, but they did. And so he is not able to read the teleprompters through much of this, and eventually he talks about it, apparently. But it's why he's rambling so much, is he's, like, not being fed lines. He's like run out of lines. It's interesting that, like, these people surely see the teleprompter too, and they know he's just reading that. Like, do they not care? I don't know.
And we got it over with, but it's the fastest ever, and that means we have the longest wait ever. 7 months is a long time, a little more than 7 months. It's like an eternity when you have people that are incompetent running your country into the ground. But if we could, we're going to take that victory, and we're going to add to it with Bernie Moreno, who's a fantastic guy. Bernie is a fantastic guy. He's getting some very tough Democrat.
I love Bernie. Bernie's a fantastic guy. I hope Trump keeps saying that. I like him complimenting Bernie Sanders like this.
Fake treatment right now, and we're not going to stand for it because
Bernie Sanders is the only Bernie that you refer to just by his first name. So when he just says Bernie is great, it's like, if I didn't know the context, I'd assume he's talking about Bernie Sanders. I would clip that out of context and be like, clip it and ship it. Donald Trump endorses Bernie Sanders. Clipped and shipped. Donald Trump is a communist. We got him.
I know this man. We all know this man. He's a hero. He's a winner. And we're not going to let these people are sick between Russia for 2 years and Ukraine, 51 intelligence agents. I want one after another. One would stop and then they'd lie again. And all the way to where we are right now, where we're leading Biden by numbers.
You know, it really is crazy that even lefties have fallen for the, like, right-wing talking point that the Russian collusion thing was a hoax or a nothing burger, when, as I've said earlier in the stream, but I'll repeat because this is a separate video, Trump's head campaign people were, like, arrested and sent to prison because they were provably involved with, like, the effort among Trump's campaign to collude with Russia to help him get elected and hurt Hillary. They just couldn't tie it to Trump because Trump had fall guys to separate, like, culpability from himself, right? It's how mob-type guys do that type of business. It's how he's always done business. He's got fall guys. And, you know, that's where the saying, Teflon Don, comes from. Nothing can stick to him. He's always got, like, some sort of defense set up, right? And so with that in mind, I feel like, man, you just gotta keep in mind that you can't fall for this shit. Just because the Democrats weren't successful in convicting Trump doesn't mean they didn't find anything. You can't fall for Trump's talking points just because he's not behind bars. He didn't do anything, or that like it was a nothing burger. His campaign did collude with Russia. It's not alleged. I don't have to say allegedly because the courts determined that it did. There's no it wasn't an alleged thing that happened. It was a thing that happened
that nobody's ever seen before, and we have to keep it going. So Bernie Moreno, we want to. Where is Bernie? Is he around here? There is Bernie. And a great family. And Max, we love Max. Max was with me for 4 years, our great congressman. And
amazing. Amazing. Oh, here's Trump insulting Joe Biden.
Why we want to follow up our historic that happens to be me. How are we doing? And he's driven my numbers through the roof. Do it 1 or 2 more times. How about a couple of more indictments, Joe, you dumb son of a... dumb son of a...
He's basically doing a rehash of the argument that his fans have always loved, which is I could shoot
victory
somebody.
This week. That was a great victory.
I would shoot somebody and my fans wouldn't care. Here, Trump.
My people are so smart.
This is like one of his proudest talking points and the one that gets him the most crowd cheers and applause.
My people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. No, they say, Trump, we love you too, man. Trump's voters are by far, I'm at 68, 69%. I'm at 90% total. Like, will you say absolutely? I think it's 68 or 69%.
Interesting that energy didn't carry over to the 2020 election, though. Regardless, I got to make it clear, Trump prides himself, as do his supporters, in the fact that they grade him on a curve, as many of them will say. That is to say, nothing Trump ever does will be bad enough for them to say, okay, he's gone too far now. He's gone a bit too far. Oh, here's Trump talking about undocumented immigrants and comparing them to animals.
Right? Young people, they're in jail for years, and if you call them people, I don't know if you call them people. In some cases, they're not people, in my opinion, but I'm not allowed to say that because the radical left says that's a terrible thing to say.
He's not wrong. You know what? Rare Trump W, he's not wrong. Saying that immigrants aren't people is a terrible thing to say, and the radical left would say that. I think we here on the radical left do stand by the message that is a terrible thing to say. Yeah, no, that's he wasn't wrong there.
They say you have to vote against him because did you hear what he said about humanity? I've seen the humanity, and these are bad. These are animals, okay? And we have to stop it. We can't have another Lakin. We have so many people. We have so many people being hurt so badly and being killed. They're sending their prisoners to see us. And they're bringing them right to the border. And they're dropping them off, and we're allowing them to come in. And these are tougher than anybody we've got in the country.
Here, let's just fact check that for fun. Literally nothing about them shipping criminals to the border comes up. I think Trump just made that one up off the top of his head. He does that.
These are hardened criminals, and we've got hundreds of thousands of them, and we're not going to take it. We're just not going to.
For the record, by the way, like when you look at crime stats, native-born U.S. citizens commit more crime than even illegal immigrants. I guess if you discount the crime of being illegally immigrated, like they get here and they don't do crime they do less crime. They do not crime at a way higher rate than American native-born citizens do not crime.
take it. They are destroying our country. I'm telling you, right? Young.
Damn. We're getting pretty mask off going into this election, huh? Even the Republicans recognize this election as the one that's the do or die. This is it, you know? This is the most important election there is. They recognize they got to win this one, so there's not really much of a point in being mask off anymore. I don't think they really have this concept of a political future they need to, like, prepare for in the world of democracy, because I think they plan to take over in this election and to not have to worry about elections after this one. Trump says we're going to have the largest deportation effort in history.
He is an illegal monster. He should never have been in our country, and he would have never been in our country. Never, ever would he have been in our country if the election weren't rigged, because we didn't allow people like that into our country. We didn't welcome them, and they knew it. You know, does anybody like the snake? Do you know the snake? I don't know. I can't even hold this. I can't even hold this sucker in this wind, but we'll give it a shot. Do you mind? Let's do it. Because you know what? It's, as I'm discussing this, and on the understanding that we have no teleprompters, at least let me read one little thing here. But this is a metaphor. Most of you have heard it.
Aren't these the teleprompters? These things right here?
People love it. It's a very accurate metaphor. And it's about our border. It's about the people we have coming in. And don't be surprised.
Like, at first I thought they could be lights, but I'm pretty sure these are screens. Those are literally teleprompters, I'm pretty sure.
When bad things happen, because bad things will happen. And we're going to get them out fast. We're going to have the largest deportation effort in history. But with all of that, we've got ourselves a problem. When you have 15 million people, many of these people are people that should not be allowed into our country. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake.
Okay, I guess he read, like, poetry? Cool. Cool. Oh, cool. Trump is promising to carry forward his tariff-based economic policy that unanimously was agreed upon by economists to be the dumbest shit ever, because it just caused like manufacturing here to get more expensive and for Americans to have to pay for the increase in manufacturing costs because we get our fucking steel from China.
At the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal.
Also, did you guys know China has the most concrete? I don't really think I have to elaborate more than that. Like, in every metric, China has the most concrete. Look up China concrete the most, and it'll explain the details of that. They have the most. That is basically the most justice I can do to explaining that. They have used the, I think, like, also the most rebar as well, possibly. That might be wrong. One of the most rebar, like, heavy used nations on the entire planet. But definitely as far as cement and concrete, they have the most.
Those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected.
Basically saying you're not going to be able to sell foreign cars here without them being marked up insanely. But the problem is those steel tariffs, if we're going to use them as an example, made all cars, both made in America, overseas, or otherwise, all more expensive. Like, yeah. There's no getting around that. This will just fuck us over. And that is, like, indisputable.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole... That's going to be the least of it. It's going to...
Okay. That's a threat.
It'll be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
Yeah, it's a real threat.
But at the border.
That was just a full-on threat. If I don't get elected, it will be a real bloodbath for the country. That's a thing that potentially the next president of the United States just said.
Frankly, and what's happening with the Catholics? The Catholics are under siege. Any Catholic that votes for this numbskull is crazy because you are being persecuted. You are being... Now, I'm...
For those that don't know, like, the conservatives, like the far-right conservatives, the identitarians, the, like, white nationalists, alt-righters, neo-Nazis, they hardcore identify with Catholicism. There could be a number of reasons why. I guess it's the most tied in with, like, their perception of, like, Christian ethno-nationalist, whatever the fuck LARP that they go for. Like, Catholic Church stuff. They like it aesthetically, and that's as far as their values really go, is the aesthetics of fascism. And so, like, they hardcore. But, for example, right now, Trump is pushing... The Republican Party is pushing for churches to be Trump sermon locations, for the churches to push for pro-Trump politics as part of their teachings and their sermons. Basically saying the churches stand with Trump was the message the churches gave back. Like, tens of thousands of them across the country. So, yeah. Yeah, and the funny thing is, as well, Biden is himself Catholic.
Being persecuted, I think, more than anybody, but who the hell knows? You know?
Yeah, Biden is Catholic, by the way. All right, this is when he starts having teleprompter problems, apparently.
Under Biden, the cost of rent is up 30%. Groceries are up 30%. Everything is up. Chicken's up. Bread is up. And I can't read this damn teleprompter.
He just said he didn't have one. Okay, all of those things are up due to COVID, which Trump made become a thing that is never going away now. You guys know that, like, COVID could have been made not a thing anymore, but because we didn't handle it right in the early days, because we had Trump in office and Trump didn't want to, it's a forever disease now, a seasonal illness that will just keep coming around. And every day that goes by, researchers are finding more and more evidence of, like, insane long-term damage it does to your body just to have COVID once. Delancer and Chad, it works in the field of medicine and can probably back me up on this. Having COVID once leads from everything to tissue scarring in your respiratory system. There's been evidence of scarring and, like, swelling and inflammation within your blood vessels and, arteries within your, like, neck, brain, chest, and everywhere else. Like, that's scary as fuck. It's been proven to have caused long-term neurological damage in lots of people. Brain chemistry change, certain parts of the brain damaged physically and not activating in the same way they used to pre-infection. Joint problems, that's me. Brain damage, obviously, that's what I just, I just touched on that, yeah. We could go down the fucking list of issues that have been caused by COVID. Thankfully, I haven't had that night mothism. I can confirm I've not dealt with the lowered sex drive from COVID. But, it just does a cavalcade of things, and the problem is, digesting problems, absolutely. Like intestinal shit, absolutely. But yeah, like the problem is that for everybody who gets COVID, it's a different experience, right? You're basically spinning the wheel on either just getting over it quickly and it being just a cold to you pretty much, or getting stuck with some varied combination of awful symptoms, right? And it's not going to be the same as as most other people who've also dealt with COVID and long COVID stuff. And so the fact that it's not going anywhere, and that is just the state of humanity now because we had Trump when COVID hit, you may be fine now, But you're never escaping COVID. You're gonna get COVID one day. It's not going away. There'll never be a point where you can just take a big deep breath and be like, ah, yeah, COVID's gone, we're safe. No, it's just here, and it will get you one day. And the damage that it does long-term to your body, it will get to do it. And it may get to do it many times cumulatively over your life. We may see a substantial lowering of the human lifespan in America at the very least due to COVID. Just because so many Americans have gotten COVID and will get COVID, and having it once, for all we know, fucks your lifespan. Like getting the Shinigami eyes type shit. Like, for all we know, every American who's gotten COVID, or at least a lot of them, have basically taken the Shinigami eye deal. And we won't know that's the case for, like, decades. When, like, people who are 20 now and got COVID start getting like serious respiratory problems in their 40s and 50s that kill them before their 60s. That's what I'm talking could be like a massive generational thing because of COVID. And it's not going anywhere. And that possibility is not one I just made up. It's a possibility presented by epidemiologists as like a real fucking concern for the future of humanity now that COVID is just a thing now. By 2025, 100% of the world has gotten COVID, and each time you get COVID, it lowers your lifespan by more years, shorter by estimated for guess by tests. Yeah. No, like the human lifespan across the board is about to drop substantially. Nothing we can do about it. You will probably not live as long as generations before you like got to when like things were better. And that's because we had one Trump presidency. People said, like, oh, you're so crazy, lefties, for thinking that Trump being president will end the world. And it's like, I used to think that was crazy, too. But when you look at each issue that he's so bad on individually and you see how serious they are, fuck, man, I kind of have to say it low-key kind of does. Kind of does seem like a Trump presidency could end the world. We might already be on the fast track to that just from one term. Bexar Pete, you literally have to never, ever go in contact with anybody who could give you COVID, or with anybody who could have been in contact with someone who could give you COVID. By the sounds of it, Bexar Pete, like if you will literally die if you get COVID, you have to live in like a bubble, isolate your entire life. Like that fucking sucks. I'm so sorry for you, but I'm being like as sincere as I can be right now. If you're serious and not exaggerating that one infection will get you killed, you need to be so fucking careful. I am so on top of not getting sick. I am so on top of that stuff. And I've gotten COVID twice. I am hoping for you, friend. I am really hoping for you.
This sucker is moving around. It's like reading,
Congestive heart failure? Well, that's fucking horrific. I hope you can get a cyber heart.
A moving flag at a 35-mile-an-hour wind. And then they say Trump's a bad guy, because I'll say this. Don't pay the teleprompter company. Don't pay. Don't pay. And then he'll say, Trump didn't pay me. And they'll say, oh, Trump's a horrible human being. He's terrible. They gave me a pile of crap that this is the craziest thing. And look at all the television I have up there. I got all the television, and they won't say that. They'll say, Trump made a speech. It wasn't so good. It wasn't so good. You know.
Maybe you should try to, like, be sincere in what he believes in and what his policies and values are so that, like, he can talk about what he stands for, what he's going to do for, like, the people of Ohio. And, like, I'm going to be honest, guys. The fact that politicians need a script or a teleprompter alone is, like, sussy to me. Even if I agree with the politician, it's like, I could go on stage and explain all my values that I would support as president. Like, if they need a script to tell them what to say, that's concerning, because it implies that, like, I don't need a script to remind me of what I believe in. I just say it. like, do you see a script in front of... I mean, I guess I could have a script off screen for all you guys know, but my content is very clearly improv, and I feel like I can list my values and argue for my values and explain why I believe in my values very off the cuff and easily to a crowd. Obviously, I don't see the crowd, but, like, there is a crowd. I don't know. I think it's embarrassing to even need a teleprompter or a script, you know? And it should be a red flag, but conservatives don't care. You gotta vote against Trump here, guys. Like, dude has no Ohio Rizz, and on top of that is proudly declaring how he's going to destroy our country if he gets reelected.